Have you been thinking about making a move to New Hampshire, specifically Keene, New Hampshire in 2025? It's been a little bit since I've made a video like this, so today we're going to break down the actual cost of living in New Hampshire, but specifically in Keene, New Hampshire, what the prices are like for homes, for rent, what it's like for utilities, groceries, all the stuff that you will actually be living on and making a monthly budget to be able to spend on. So I'm going to dive into that right now. Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Shane Moynihan. I'm a local real estate agent and investor based out of Keene, New Hampshire. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in New Hampshire, Keene area, feel free to reach out to me. I have all my info down below, but there's also a link in the description to my calendar where you can book a free 30-minute call with me. We can discuss your real estate goals, see if I'm a good fit, and hopefully be able to achieve those goals with you. So without further ado, let's break down the cost of living in Keene, New Hampshire for 2025. So we're going to start with the housing prices and what you'll actually be paying for. So it depends, of course, if you're coming up here to buy, if you're coming up here to rent. If you're coming up here to buy, of course, there's only so much. I'm going to tell you the median sales price, which right now in Keene is between $325,000 to $350,000. Now, that doesn't mean that's going to be what your budget is. If you're looking for a 4,000 square foot house with 6 bedrooms and 4 baths, well, that's going to be more than $350,000. Also, if you're looking for just a simple condo, well, it's probably going to be a little bit less. But that's just the average. So that is kind of the cost of housing. Now, I'm not even going to really go into what the average mortgage payment is because it all depends on, are you going first time home buyer with a super low down payment? Or are you going with a conventional with 20% down? Do you have a substantial down payment, maybe 50%? It all depends. So that is going to be completely dependent on your credit situation, how much you have to put down, and what you're actually doing with the property. Next, we're going to dive into what the actual monthly rents are for the area. But before I do that, I do want to mention one thing to take into account because it's not really going to apply to rentals, but it applies to housing, and that is property taxes. If you're moving up to New Hampshire and you want to purchase a home, make sure you're taking into account property taxes. They are high compared to other places in the country, especially if you're moving from a southern state. Taxes seem to be a lot lower down there. Up here, you're paying around $6,000 to $8,000 on average in Keene for, again, the $325,000, $350,000 house. It's an expensive area. You don't get a lot of land for it, but you don't get state sales tax or state income tax, so you get hit hard here. Let's dive into the rentals. So for a 2-bedroom rental, you're usually looking about $1,600 to $1,800. That is a little bit of a variance because it depends if the landlord's actually going to be paying for utilities or excluding utilities. Of course, if they're included, typically they'll be on the higher side. If they're excluded, it'll be on the lower side. Also depends on actually how nice the units are. Around here in Keene, you have a lot of old homes that were big farmhouses that got converted into duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. Some are very, very nice and updated. Others are very, very outdated. So it all depends what you're looking for and what your kind of parameters are for a house, but you'll be paying around 16 to 18. And again, you might have to be paying utilities. And that's actually a very good segue because the next part we're going into is utilities, which is highly dependent on, again, what house you're in, what season we're in, all that stuff. If you have newer windows in your house, if you have older windows in your house, what heating system you have, how efficient it is, what it runs off. There's a lot of variances, but we're going to go into just average costs. All right, so the first one we're going to touch base on is electricity. This is about $125 to $175 a month. Really depends on how good you are with turning off lights. When I was living single by myself, I worked from home, but yet my electricity bill was still only like $60 a month. I didn't use much electricity. I also didn't have hot water that was electric, so that helped with not using electricity. So it really depends how your house is set up, but that's on average. Next is heating. This is about $200 to $350 per month throughout the winter, but you can average that throughout the whole year. Also, again, what are you setting your heat at? How efficient is the thing that you're actually using? Is it an old furnace? Is it new? Is it running at 90% efficiency or 75? A lot of things take into account for that, but a lot of times they'll be able to give you averages, especially if you're renting. the landlord should know what the past tenant kind of used for it. Next is sewer, water, and trash. A lot of rentals will have this included. Of course, if you're owning the home, you're going to be the one paying for it. It's about $75 to $100 a month, but it gets billed quarterly. So it's usually about a $250, $300 bill that comes every 3 months. Again, these are just the averages for utilities. It really depends on your personal situation. Are you home all day leaving lights on? Do you take really, really long showers that are super hot, that's connected to your hot water, that's on an electric hot water heater? Or is it off your oil where it's sucking down oil throughout the summer? Do you have your ACs really cool? So there's a bunch of things that depend on it, but of course that's kind of the average. The next we have our groceries, and of course groceries are kind of going up everywhere across the United States. I kind of don't necessarily buy all my groceries from one place, so it's kind of hard to keep track of what I spend. But for me, being a single person, I think I spend around $300 to $400 a month. So if you're looking like a family of four, I was trying to research it. It's usually around $600 to $900 a month. Of course, depends on a lot of things, what you eat, what your standards are, if you're going organic, not. But we've got a lot of different options around here. We got Market Basket, Hannaford's, Aldi, we got Price Chopper, we got the Moynihan Co-op, we got farmers markets. So there's a bunch of varieties of where you want to go and finding the best price. Market Basket is my favorite. I grew up with it. I know where everything is. That's why I like going there. And they have really good prices on top of that. And their deli's really good. The hot foods, very yummy. The next we're going to go on is transportation. Now, it depends where you're coming from. New Hampshire's not a big city state. It doesn't have a super big city. There's not a lot of public transportation. Now, if you're just solely living in Keene, working in Keene, buying everything in Keene, and you live close downtown, you can like walk around a lot. But chances are you're gonna need a car. So right now, gas prices are about $3.50-ish, maybe a little bit lower. I have to do the premium for my car, so it might be closer. It's actually closer to $3. I think it's like $2.87, maybe $3.50 for the premium. So it depends how much you drive. Car insurance, about $80 to $120 a month. And parking, I want to go over, it's basically free everywhere except for downtown. Downtown, Monday through Saturday, I think 9 to 5 you have to pay. They're really good at finding the ones who don't. So make sure you do pay or you're probably going to come out to a ticket, and it's really frustrating. Next is kind of lifestyle and entertainment. So this, again, how much do you go out? It's going to be dependent. Gyms are kind of scarce around here. You only have a few options. You really got Planet Fitness, Real Steel. There's like some CrossFit gyms, the YMCA, and then a couple other like climbing gyms. But for just a plain old lift and weight gyms, you're usually looking at $40 to $70 a month. I've went to all of them. That's about what they are, except for Planet Fitness. I got a nice $10 one there because I only go to that Planet Fitness. Next, for dinners, you're looking usually, depending, there's not like a ton of ranges in Keene for restaurants. There's a couple pricier places, but most of them are pretty, usually entrees around $18 to $25. I would say there's a couple places that have $30, $35 entrees. You don't find that much. So for a dinner for two, you're probably looking at $40 to $60. You add drinks and appetizer, you're looking at probably $80 to $110, but depends on what you get. Keene also has a lot of things to do, which is nice. It's super close to Mount Monadnock, which is one of the actually I think it is the most hiked mountain in the United States. We have Pumpkin Fest. We just had the Keene Food Festival, which I'm part of the board of Keene Young Professionals, which put it on. Kind of rained out this year, a little bit of a bummer, but a lot of vendors came. Still a decent turnout, so that was great. There's a lot of local breweries, the Colonial Theater. There's the Art Walk downtown. There's a bunch of stuff to go do around here. There's tons of cafes, a bowling alley, really a lot of stuff. So it's a pretty fun area. And then of course you can do free things like going disc golfing or just going to the dog park, going to a dam and walking, whatever you like to do. So the monthly summary of all that, for a single person, you're looking at probably around $2,500 to $2,800 a month. For a couple or a small family, you're probably around $4,000 to $5,000. Now this assumes that, with these ones at least, it assumes you're renting right now, because that's the only way you can take into the monthly account of the housing expense. If you're buying, you're going to be in a different situation. Those will probably be a bit higher unless you have a really big down payment. Of course, if you're in the buying situation, you're probably relocating for a certain reason. So you kind of know that coming into it, that buying a house is going to be more expensive than renting. But it's really good housing around here. And with that being said, there's been actually a lot of equity built up. Who knows how long the market's going to keep going, but there's still a lot of housing shortages. So I don't see it coming down too far anytime soon. So with all that being said, that's kind of the cost of living for Keene, New Hampshire. I hope you enjoyed this video. It added some value. If it did, hit that like and subscribe button. And don't forget, if you are looking to make the move up here, or you're looking to relocate, just looking to rent, whatever the case is, if you're looking to buy, rent, have questions, feel free to reach out to me. Or if you're more serious about real estate and you are looking to buy, want more info on specific things, feel free to book a 30-minute call with me down below in the description. We'll go over your real estate goals and I'll make sure that we can hit those for you if we're a good fit. So I hope this was a good one, and I'll catch you guys next week with another video.